Yeah, and you say you, my friend. Kobazi featuring musical. Okay, we have with us Samuel Jackson. He has been here since way before time. Yeah, we had some technical glitch. Is it? So we go across the table. We say, "Welcome, sir."
Well, Julius, thank you for inviting me. It is always an honor and a pleasing obligation and duty for me to be here today. I'm so pleased and very happy to be here to talk to you on issues concerning the development of this country. Thank you so much.
And interestingly, in another capacity, you what led to your joining of the Citizens Movement for Change, the CMC of Musa Hassan Belete?
You know something? I was hoping that would be the first question you would ask me. Yeah. Since 2017, in the second round, I've supported the Coalition for Democratic Change, and that's almost like 8 years ago, right?
But you didn't join them.
No, oh no, I didn't join. I'm an NPP, and I'm considering some political move. But for now, my support is to the political leader and the citizen movement for change, for the following reasons.
So let us get it clear. Are you joining them, or have you joined them, or not?
But it is a process. But what I'm saying that I am fully committed to supporting the citizens movement, okay, for change, fully committed, okay. And in terms of the party affiliation and all of that, will go through the process because there has to be a process. But for now, my commitment to the CMC is unshakable for the following reasons. I've gotten to know Musa Ability over the years, huh? And two things happened. He reached out to me, valuing my integrity, valuing my expertise, and asking me to provide my expertise to his movement. And look at a young man. Let's look at first of all who Musa Ability is. This is a man from Saclay, homegrown, that made himself one of the top business leaders in this country. And what has he been doing? He's been using his wealth for philanthropy, fixing bad roads in District Number 7 and reaching out to people. Musa and I have had a number of interactions over the years. Sometimes not pleasant, sometimes we attack each other, but it was always built upon a position of trust and mutual respect. We never disrespected each other. And Musa, what Musa has done for his life and for this country, for him to have been elected from District Number 7, it is phenomenal. And he's also put together a team.
But one would think that your collaboration with him, working with him, even though not a full joining yet, as you're saying, would be based on ideologies, not just the individual, but what the party stands for and all of that. But it seems as
I was
though
coming
it
to
is
that.
about Musa.
Yes. In order for me to be a part of who you are, I have to respect you and I have to trust you first, right? Then I have to look at the attraction there for me is the fact that it is his articulation of his political views and what he's done in furtherance of that. In furtherance of that, he put together a global team of Liberians from all political persuasion. And that for me, building a bigger tent that will shift us away from this bipolarity, CDC, UP. We needed something brand new. And this is what Musa Ability and the CMC. The CMC is an idea. Citizens Movement for Change, encapsulated in that name, Citizens Movement for Change, is an ideology that says that we have to change the lives of people in West Point, in Zolgoi, in Tao Town, in Yekwi Town. Look post-war, look at the dramatic changes that we've seen in terms of the physical infrastructure, like Tubman Boulevard. Look at from Second Street to 18th Street. Look at Marshall. Look at all of those physical changes. But look at Mount Wata. Has the life of Mount Wata been transformed? The people in West Point, right? 70 to 100,000 people still living in slums. 70% of the people in this town live in slums. So if somebody whom I trust, who has demonstrated that he was put his resources where his mouth is, if he comes to that table, and then he respects me upon that, the first thing, it has to be based upon who is this person? Does he fit into the category of somebody that I would like to be interacting on? And definitely that was the first yes.
Okay.
Then the second thing is the ideology.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the ideology.
Maybe on another day we could we could expand
exactly.
on that.
But
But let's go to the CMC's reaction to the draft national budget, 1.2 billion plus, the first in Liberia's history since 1847, I suppose. The Liberia National Budget 2026 is eating show and driven by the impetus of tax and spend. That's exactly on the second page, in fact, the first page after the cover page of their analysis. A very beautiful stuff done by the CMC here. I have your entire stuff here. This is the first time I've seen this kind of reaction to it is not just on papers, but it is well done. Please, at least let people see what I'm talking about. This is the, critical analysis. This is the entire stuff. You can see it here. Yeah. It looks beautiful anyway. But let's get to the details.
And it is not AI either. It is done by a collection of people with integrity, people with expertise, and people with the discipline to sit down, spending countless hours to produce something of this nature. And I can tell you, Julius,
why is it called Eating Show?
Eating Show because it is a charade. Eating Show is that the impetus is there to increase the national budget so the United Party can say they are the first party in the history of this country that brought the budget over $1 billion.
But the indicators, the revenue generation, all of these things are there to support that. So it is not just a kind of wishful thinking of wanting to get to $1 billion, but this is undergirded by economic reality, isn't it?
Okay, no, it's not, because $228 million of that budget is based on a one-off, extraordinary payment, $200 million by ArcelorMittal, $10 million in projection of asset recovery, and another $18 million from the Liberian Petroleum Regulatory Authority for Oranto and Total. So already, student of economics, let's look at domestic revenue. You have to look at domestic revenue, which is just around 700 million, right? So if you look at domestic revenue, and then you add this 220 million, then you add the 10 million, right? So the budget is actually sitting organically at $983 million, because the budget projected is 1,211,085,000 United States dollars. Take out 228 million. We come down to organically grown is a budget of less than 1 billion, because the collectibility of that is conditional. It's conditional. It's conditional upon conditions antecedent and condition precedent. Now I'm speaking people.
But isn't it how budgets are done? They are projections. They are expectations of what will happen based on available evidence.
Yeah.
And so I don't see what
budgets grow organically. It wants of corporate generosity, and it wants of payment of supposed recovery from asset $10 million from asset recovery when the court cases have not even begun, and $18 million from rationing oil blocks. Those are extraordinary items in the budget. Those are based upon contingencies. The contingencies have not occurred, and the probability of those contingencies occurring should give us pause. And then
What
rationally,
could happen if the government is sure that in either by the end of this year or in 2026 we will sign up to the ArcelorMittal deal? If there is some level of assurance, why shouldn't they put it in the budget? What would you recommend that they did?
the political leader said, we're not going to spread $228 million into all sectors. What we would do, we would take $200 million and apply that into a legacy project. And that legacy project
Would you include it in the budget? That's my point, or not?
You would not apply it the way that it's been applied in the budget.
No. That is not the first argument, sir. Your first argument is that this is a contingency.
It's a contingency.
And so it is an eating show budget, putting it there just because you want to get to a $1 billion. So I'm saying, if it were in your case, would you include that money within the budget or not?
I would
even if you apply it to a single source item.
because if we're going to do a legacy project, we would not be doing a legacy project that you're going to be spending monies in 2026 with an implementation strategy to create and capitalize an agricultural investment bank. Those monies will not, very little that will be spent in 2026.
No, sir. It is still dodging.
I'm not dodging. I'm saying
no.
We will not include that in the budget. We will not. I said that. I'm strong about that.
What will you do with it?
What I would do is I will put it in an account as investment, and I would say to the Liberian people, we have $200 million. We're not going to spend that money. Look, let me give you an example. Norway have a lot of oil revenues, right? But they only put 11% of the oil revenues into the budget. Okay, 89% of that go into a sovereign wealth fund. So they're now running the country based upon once-off contingency that is based upon the generosity of a corporation. But guess what? Look at their own projection for 2027 and 2028. The budget decreases to $1,023 million in 2027. Okay, and a billion
because the $200 million from
exactly
is a one-off payment.
It's a one-off payment now, right? But check that out, right? So there will be a contraction of the budget, right? A contraction of spending. If you look at the composition of GDP, consumption, investment, government spending, and exports minus imports, right? The G stands for government spending. And government spending, you're going to put $228 million into government spending to have an expansionary budget. But the following year, the budget returns to its organic state. There will be a negative shock to the economy because this money was not put aside for an implementation strategy to create a legacy project.
Okay. Now, why is it referred to as tax and spend?
Okay, tax and spend means all they're doing is taxing the people. We talk about what will be the composition of revenues going forward, right? They're increasing the general sales tax with the GST, right? We are going towards this VAT, VAT, right? So they came from 10%, 11%, 12%, now going to 13%. And now certain mining taxes will be put on up to 2%. 2%, okay, will be across the board. So those are tax and spend. So we're saying this is a tax and spend budget. This is not a tax and invest kind of budget. Because a budget should be based upon what? it should be based upon collection, spending some, and investing in significant because you want sustainability. That's what we call this a tax and spend. But we can go into the numbers.
But every economy relies on taxation. Every country.
But
people have to be taxed.
We never said don't tax. We said you can tax, but a significant portion of the taxation should not go into recurrent expenditure. Let me give you an example. You boosting employee compensation from 315 million to 329 million. Then it's setting aside another $25 million for compensation. So if you're looking at compensation going from 315 million to 350 plus million, right? That's what they're doing. But look at some of the things that they should be spending on that they're not spending on. Budget on agriculture. Agriculture is only 1% of the budget. Only 1% of the budget.
It's like 30 million, the whole sector.
The whole sector, 13 million. And that's if you got $1,211 million, and you only apportioning to food security. 60% of the workforce in this country is involved in what? Agriculture. And you only investing $13 million into agriculture, which is 1.1% of the budget.
Now, give us a bit of the macroeconomic context that you have here of the budget when you talking about the assumptions of sustained GDP growth driven primarily by mining, agriculture, and the services sector. Give us an outlook.
Okay, so the official forecast, right, of GDP ranges from 4 to 5%, right? But if you look at, this is from the national authorities, this is their projection of GDP, right? But if you look at our international partners, the DFI, which is the IMF, right? The IMF said that in 2024, growth was projected at 4.7%, but they only realized what? They only realized 4%. And now you look at the unevenness of that growth by sector. The mining and panning sector, 11%. Agriculture and fisheries, 4.7%, right? Okay, so then it means that the framework of economic development is not diversified, it's not sustainable, because most of the growth in GDP will be only contributed significantly by one sector, mining and panning. And mining and panning has limited linkages to the rest of the economy. They don't create enough jobs. They don't have enough linkages to the rest of the economy. They don't have a multiplier effect. And most of the mining income is not domesticated. What do I mean? For example, if last year, $900 million worth of gold was exported from Liberia, do we have a gold reserve? No. Is $900 million of that money domesticated in Liberian banks? No. That is what? It is not a sustainable thing. So we should do more diversification. Let's look at agriculture. Let's go look at agribusiness. Let's look at services. Let's look at real estate development. Let's look at other sectors that will grow the economy and create jobs proportional to GDP growth.
You also took a look at the security sector budget, more than 150 million, I believe, with NSA accounting for like $22 million.
But NSA budget increased by 44%, but guess what happened? NSA was not able to produce a catalog of achievements from the last fiscal period. So how do you justify increasing their budget by 44% when there was no justification brought in terms of the achievements, about the implementation strategy?
Given that most of their activities are unknown and security related and all of that, perhaps they chose not to say.
No, but I didn't say that. That's what the budget said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, then speak to the people who did the budget, because I didn't say, Samuel Jackson didn't say that. It's the people.
So what do you think is happening?
Well, most governments that I know use the national security agencies to siphon monies from the budget, plain and simple. But look, a fundamental issue that we didn't even touch, right? How this budget was structured in the first place. The first budget that they presented, in terms of the projected fiscal return for 2025, is 975 million. When they projected $880 million, 95% overspending. Why did they retrieve the budget?
They said it was an error, human error.
No, it cannot be a human error to that magnitude. There can be no way that a Kafwan that I know and the budget analyst that I know at the Ministry of Finance can make that elementary of an error, a $95 million error, especially in the age where you have software, where you can do projections on things like Excel spreadsheet, and you should have multiple eyes looking at that budget. There's no way that was contrived. But then they saw the reaction from the streets, the reaction from people like us, from people like Mr. Baba Conte and others. So they withdrew the budget. Look at state-owned enterprises in the budget. 17 of the 18 state-owned enterprises within the budget did not present a financial plan as required by law. Therefore, the budget, okay, the people making the budget could not make a good determination as to what would be the appropriate mix of contributions to the government budget. That is troublesome. That's what we call this a tax and spend budget.
If you talk about the state-owned enterprises, they have some of the brightest minds around to get those things done. So, what is going on?
Well, listen, I'm not going to play psychologist here, but I can tell you what was presented on paper. What was presented on paper, in their own words, they said it. This is their budget. I didn't know there were 17 state-owned enterprises that were in the annex that did not provide any financial projections to the budget committees. I didn't know that. They wrote that. So we're only going by what they told us. So, the question you should be asking, why didn't 17 out of 18 state-owned enterprises do their processes as required by law? Very troubling, Julius.
Now, still on other issues, the legislature's budget was also talked about. Increase from 41 million plus to 51 million
exactly.
plus, 25% increase. Why do you think it is troublesome?
Well, look, so the legislature is for lawmaking, right? Can you picture, okay, any reason for the expansion of a legislative budget, okay, beyond goods and services and employee compensation? Can you imagine anything for that?
I don't know.
No, but I'm asking you. I mean, but this I'm asking.
I am the interviewer here.
No, so I'm saying. Okay, so I'm saying to you, they did not provide any justification for the increase in the budget of the legislature from 41 million to $51 million. It doesn't make any economic sense. It is not fiscally prudent, and it's not in the best interest of the country. Clear, and we said that.
You spoke, when I say you, I mean CMC, spoke about other critical issues in terms of public debt and fiscal risk. What are the risks you think attached to public debt insofar as the budget is also concerned?
Okay, so you have to look at the public debt continues to rise, right? Right now, the debt is $2.7 billion. That's the total public sector debt, right? And then we have about $1 billion for domestic debt and $1.62 billion of foreign debt, right? There is a fiscal ratio, which is called debt to GDP, right? Debt to GDP, right? The amount of debt in the country versus the size of output. That has to be within a certain limit. And the way that it is structured right now, there is an opportunity to have debt distress, to be on a fiscal cliff, which means that the budget is not de-risked enough, meaning that what they're depending on, like commodities, right, like gold and iron ore, they're based upon what volatility in the commodities market, right? For example, like gold was $4,500 an ounce about 3 weeks ago. It dropped to 4,000, right? So if you're basing the budget on the price of an ounce of gold at 4,500 and it drops to 4,000, that's a significant drop. Right now, the price of iron ore, another one in your kitty, right, is at $103 a metric ton. They did not de-risk the budget and the debt enough, okay, in the way that is structured, so as to provide for contingencies to be able to defray. Liberia could go into a debt crisis if revenues from corporations and revenues from the organic activities in the economy, if there's any significant reduction, we're going to go to debt distress. Then we're going to go to the IMF to start drawing on the extended credit facility. And they did that last year, or rather this year. Remember, $19 million of special drawing rights, which amounts to $26 million. You know what $26 million represent? That's the size of your monthly wage bill. So any sound fiscal expert looking at that would say, why do you need $26 million if you having all these revenues, right? If you vaunting that revenues are rising, why would you draw, okay, on a contingency, which is an extended credit facility provided by the IMF, to pay what? To pay what? What did you use that money for? They pay civil servant salary for that. So there's a juggernaut. The juggernaut is employee compensation, which is $26 million a month. No matter what happens, they have to come up with $26 million a month. And sometimes when revenues are not collected, then they have to go out there and they have to borrow that money. And they went to the IMF and they drew down upon the extended credit facility $19 million in special drawing rights, which amounts to $26 million. Plain and simple. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Now, so you also offered a conclusion and recommendations. Let's look at your recommendations. You said, but before that, these two paragraphs, the Liberian budgetary process is increasingly characterized by the eating show.
Yeah.
A term capturing the tendency of policymakers to engage in ostentatious spending and self-promotion.
Yeah.
This phenomenon is evident in the proliferation of off-budget allocations, discretionary spending, and high-profile projects that lack clear developmental impact. Okay. The tax and spend strategy in this context reflects a preference for short-term political gains over long-term fiscal responsibility. It encourages rent-seeking behavior, dilutes accountability, and diverts resources from critical public investments. Unless checked, the eating show dynamic will continue to undermine the integrity of the budget process and erode public trust. Now, to your recommendations, you said to enhance sustainability and resilience, the government should, one, implement structural tax reforms to broaden the revenue base and reduce reliance on windfall gains. You want to explain that?
Look, simple. Let's look at one individual tax item, right? One individual tax item, which is real estate taxes. The compliance rate for real estate taxes is only 5%. Only 5% of property owners in this country pay real estate taxes. So the lowest hanging fruit is efficient and effective tax administration by improving compliance rate with real estate taxes. The other thing is that there has been no significant audit of large tax holders for several years. We will be auditing all concessions going back 10 years. Large taxpayers going back 5 years. But guess what, Julius? That was just an analysis that we did in terms of the budget. But the political leader made a speech, and he gave his not only broad but detailed what he would do to improve fiscal balance, what he would do to collect more money in the application of money. So let me tell you some of the things that we will do. Cutting fraud waste and abuse.
Yeah, before we come to them, you talk about strengthening public fiscal management to curb off-budget spending and enhance transparency,
Yeah.
rationalize employee compensation and prioritize productive investments over recurring expenditure, develop contingency plans to manage the expected revenue shortfall in 2027 and mitigate economic shocks, address the eating show culture by enforcing stricter fiscal discipline and promoting accountability in the budget process. In terms of this budget, I thought I would have seen recommendations like this sector deserves this, move money from here and put it in agriculture.
This is what we have in our second document. Which
there are two documents.
So there's two documents.
Yeah. So
the
you
critical,
can just,
okay.
in
The
the next 2
critical
minutes.
analysis. The critical analysis is the technical focus on the budget.
Okay.
What's wrong with the budget?
Yeah.
Right.
And then recommendations.
And then we
here,
have the recommendations exactly.
do not seem to address directly the key issues.
No,
within
but
the budget.
because you don't have that document. I have that document.
Okay, yeah, so,
I
so
didn't
tell
give
us.
you. I didn't give you that, but
But why?
no, because I didn't have an extra, and I didn't have an extra one for that, right? Because I needed to refer to that in my deliberations.
Okay, yeah, so
and
you can
I will
tell
give
us
that
what
to
they
you.
are.
I will give that to you when I'm done, right?
good.
But I wanted it to be fresh, right?
Okay.
Because I know you would ask me. You did all these analytics, but what are you proposing?
Yeah, sure. So
Thank you very much.
So you can now do that.
Thank you very much. Okay. We will adequately capacitate oversight bodies to what? To do public expenditure and identify efficiencies, right? That's by cutting fraud, waste, and abuse. Right? The second thing we're going to do is to also cap salaries for public officials and especially for the legislature. We're going to cap salaries and benefits for legislators at no more than $5,000.
No, but that appears to be what will happen in a Musa ability government, right?
But exactly.
No, but what I'm asking about is this budget is a draft budget.
Okay.
It is before the legislature.
Okay.
What is your recommendation to them that it has not been passed into law
Okay,
yet? That is my point.
So let's take one for example. The simplest thing: $13 million for agriculture. We would double that budget. We'll double it, right? And then in terms of
No, sir. What could be your recommendation? Say, take money from this place, and put it to agriculture. That's because we are seeing all of the figures. You have issues with the outlook of the budget and what it contains.
Okay.
So the recommendations have to be clear and straight to the point that you can remove this amount from here and put it here.
No.
Since agriculture is important.
We're gonna do the gross figures, right?
Yeah.
For the following reasons, right? So you have a budget that is moving for $880 million to what? 1 billion exactly. So that's the fat, right? A fat of almost $228 million. And I'm accounting for the organic growth, the budget as is, without the contingencies will be just at about what? $983 million, right? So if we go, for example, in this budget, we would have proposed capping employee compensation at $350 million. That would have saved about $50 million, right? Because the 14 million plus the 25 is about $40 million. We would have saved that. Then we go to all of the compensation across the board, right? We will be demanding more contributions from the SOEs. Then we will do an overall wage bill streamlining, where we do people retired, we are not going to replace them. So by attrition, the wage bill can come down to under $300 million.
That is why you want them to do with this budget now.
With this budget now.
Okay.
That's exactly what we want them to do with this budget, right? Okay. Then we want them to cap legislative salaries and benefits at $5 million. That will save about $25 million just by doing that. Are you following me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
I
right.
I am.
Okay. Then another thing we're going to do is to improve revenue collection. We will deploy a digital platform for real-time tracking of government expenditure, enabling greater transparency and reducing leakages. then how will we improve income, revenues? I told you right now, only 5% of real estate taxes, only 5% of properties pay real estate taxes. We have done an examination and we've looked at the quantum value of properties around the country. We're looking at $10 billion. $10 billion worth of properties around the country. If all of those properties only pay 1% of their value, okay, what is called value capture, right? Property value capture. If we were to build a cadastral system and put every single dwelling in this country from Zing Round to modern infrastructure to mansions, and we were to put that, we will be capturing a gross value of $10 billion. 1% of that is how much? 1% of that. 1% of that.
Of wow, 10 billion.
Yes.
It's around, I think it's 100 million or so.
No, 100 million will be 10. Okay, it will be 10%. But that's 10 million. 1%.
1% of 10 billion should be around 100 million.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm looking at the thing wrong. Yeah, exactly right. Okay, but thank you for even correcting me on that. Okay, because I mean, and I didn't even see it. So okay, right? But $100 million. If you set up a cadastral system, and the property values in this country at 100 billion, right? And you can collect 1% of that. That's $100 million. Currently, the projection for real estate tax collection in 2026 is only $7 million, Julius.
Okay.
Only $7 million.
Let's go to the lines and take some calls. His name is Sam Jackson. Perhaps next week he may be part of a panel that we bring here for 2 hours, comprising different people from different backgrounds. 777-700-995, 555-995-995. Let's hear from you. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Julius, very good afternoon. My name is Father Bleedy, and I call from District 13 this afternoon.
Please speak louder.
Julius, and I listen to your studio guest. It's very extemporaneous, and the understanding of the issue is clear. I think what is important now is that the budget should be withdrawn. This is not about party. This is about the state. People must be honest to what they put forth. The metrics in the budget, like the expert has said to us, that there are lots of fucks, there are lots of issues that we cannot hold the budget at the legislature. So we call on the executives to do what is right, to draw the budget so that they can adequately and properly prepare the budget so that this fiscal year can be beneficial to us all. So
Okay.
This is not a political thing that people want to give political glory that you put forth a $1 billion budget. No, this is about the state.
Okay. Thanks so kindly. Welcome. Let's hear you. What's your name? Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
I'm Asset calling from New Jersey Junction.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thanks to Sam Jackson for brilliant explanation to that particular budget. That budget is just a number. You guys will just get a number to request to say, yeah, what got the first person and to carry the budget to the particular number and team. And one of the bigger things.
Why do you say it is Vlad?
Yeah, Judah, it's a Vlad. That's a number. When you tell something, number, when somebody say, I older than the person, 50 years, and your age will able to tell you, will tell people, yeah, they may have to pay for you, but 50 years, but you're passing around in the community.
No, that is not the issue. This is a very important thing we are discussing here. We are talking about budget business. You say the budget is Vlad. Okay, thanks so kindly. Augustus M. Zize Jr. says the PFM law requires government to include all revenue sources in the budget, whether it's a one-off payment or not. So your argument on including one-off payments in the draft budget has no basis in economics or law. Samuel Jackson. You have to put this one silence. George Lobo, Samuel Jackson is struggling to make a compelling case against this draft budget. J. Randy Dapo Samuel Jackson is stuck in the past. His ideas are outdated, irrelevant, and disconnected from Liberia's real challenges. Liberia needs innovation. Well, let's speak to what the issues are. Uh, um, okay, good. Let's take a few more calls. Let's see who's on this end. Welcome. Let's hear you. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes,
Julius.
quickly, my man. We don't have enough time.
Thank you so much. Let me say good afternoon to Sam Jackson. Julius, the budget is worrisome because the Minister of Finance recently told us that about $200 million of the budget will come from signature bonuses from concessions. Some of those concessions have not even been ratified by the legislature. So if such a windfall does not come to accompany the budget, then we'll have a massive shortfall, maybe where the budget will be recast 2 or 3 times before the year ends. So it's a worrisome situation. Concessions have not been ratified, but you expect to get signature bonus in the excess of $200 million just to support the budget. So, I mean, that's my concern. So I want
Okay.
to address that.
Thanks so kindly. Let's go international. Welcome. Let's hear you from this end.
Yeah,
There's a number that.
thank you, Judy. The old man, Mr. Jackson. Hello?
Yeah, what is your name quickly?
Yeah, my name is William Bro, calling from France.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mr. Jackson struck a point that I just want to ask. So, Judah, if there's 200 plus million that Asela Meta is supposed to get across signature whatsoever and other monies that these guys are hoping on, meaning that if the monies are come this year to support 2026 budget, and maybe before the end of 2026, they'll see money are not coming, full, meaning the budget is just going to drop, right? Meaning it will not be all.
Okay. He will address that. Someone knocked you off. Let's see who's on this end. On the line from the U.S. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning again, Julius. And this is Jacob Gossin calling from North Dakota.
Mhm.
This is my first time that I will congratulate Uncle Sam Jackson. Uncle Sam Jackson, congratulations. Because I think with what you have done today, you are regaining my trust. Going forward, I will not be arguing with you on Facebook. I think you are being more productive now to your country than what you were doing in the past. Because going to Spoon FM, posting what you posting on Facebook has never suggested anything positive for your citizens. But I think just by what you have just done in the studio and what you just demonstrated, it shows that you are very important to Liberians and Liberia at large. And I want to say congratulations to you. And if you keep on like this, Omen Saint Jackson, I will pray for you to live 200 years.
Okay.
I swear to God.
Thanks.
Because you really got me today. I'm so happy to appreciate you.
Okay.
Openly.
Thanks so kindly. I don't know who is here. I usually don't take people on my lines like that. Welcome. Let's hear you. Who's it?
Good evening, Julius.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Van Ross.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks to Uncle Sam. This concern. The first concern is that I think Samuel Jackson is confusing an investment budget of a country with an expenditure-based operating budget. Liberia has not moved into an investment pillar. You're still looking at the gap process of a budgeting instead of IFRS. We have a complete expenditure economy. We still buy over the counter. We're still doing procurement-based system that is related petty procurement. You can't, and you sit and you look at a country that just moved into $1 billion and you are projecting like $10-15 billion for now. It does not work.
Okay.
Besides that, yesterday, the deputy minister told you on his program that the budget was already done even before the accelerator deal was agreed. So I don't know why people will be tying the accelerator deal when the deputy minister have made it very clear. So
Okay.
it can be confusing two things.
Okay,
I don't
thanks.
understand.
Thanks so kindly. This person says, Boyka Cooper, our budget could be increased if we pay keen emphasis on real estate payment to include every structure, concrete, zinc, or dirt with a fixed taxation according to the structure. Jerry Asia, utopian analysis. Okay. Let me squeeze in Maswell Grisby. for just 1 minute. No, he hears someone who has an idea about this. Yeah, might as well go ahead.
Why your guests don't want me to say something?
No, the man got the right to comment too. Go ahead, lead it, man.
Good evening, Jackson. Good evening. I, I can see that the conversation is healthy. You know, your critique is good. One of the areas that you raised a concern, which I just wanted to remind you a little. I know you were part of most of these, the development of this instrument, the revenue law and others, is that the government is prohibited from auditing any company beyond 5 years by law. So any assessment that is done, that assessment cannot exceed 5 years as per the laws of the country. So I just wanted to make that point because I heard you saying one of the things you suggest that they do is to audit, concession for 10 years. That cannot happen.
Okay.
However, the flip side of it is, if an assessment is already done, you have up to 10 years to enforce that assessment. But you cannot assess beyond 5 years except you amend the revenue laws. I just want to make that point.
Okay. Thanks so kindly. Might as well we come back to you. Just 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
To wrap up. Mm-hmm.
Okay, listen. My people, somebody gave you $200 million. Eh? You forced to spend that money? I'm talking about what I now. Eh? Somebody said you forced to put it in the budget. That lie. If somebody gave you $200 million, you can put it in the bank and you can put it as savings, you can put it in the bank. You don't have to go and spend that money. The other question is, let me speak to my water then. What ArcelorMittal giving us $200 million for? What did Joe Bucker go to France and agree to? What did he agree to when he went to France for $200 million? For us to put it, you think they gave you $200 million for free? They don't give you $200 million for free. Corporate generosity at that level, there must be a quid pro quo. But let me tell you what we will do, okay? We will significantly increase the allocation for education up to 15% in our first year, and in our second year up to 20%. Okay. Then
no, but I didn't reach to what you will do. I was under
no. But I'm telling you because since
but we're not even
no.
Election time.
You asking no.
But what do you do?
The time is growing out. People not use my time. I will tell you what the CMC would do. You ask me a question. I will use it.
That way 2029 before you start talking that one. Why you want to? Why you were doing this?
No, but I'm telling you. No, I will tell you what the government should have done in this budget. This is what I'm saying. But this is what I'm saying.
Okay, 30 seconds, sir.
Yes. This is. I mean, this is not a fairy tale. We're not in power, but we'll see if we were in power.
Okay.
These are the things that we would do.
Okay.
We will increase spending to education 15% of the budget in the first year. The second year we go to 20%. Then go to agriculture. The Maputo Declaration, the Comprehensive Agriculture Development Program of the African Union says that they recommend, in fact require, that 10% of expenditure must go to agriculture. We will not only go to 10%, we will take the whole $200 million that ArcelorMittal gave us. We'll put it into a savings account and we'll begin to plan to implement the creation and capitalization of an agricultural investment bank.
His name is Samuel Jackson. That is how we go. The news is up next. Thanks so kindly, sir, for accepting our invite.
No, but thank you very much.
Next week, you may be part of the panel here.
We are not in power now, but we can tell you
that way.
If we're in power today. No, but I'm saying, we're saying this is how we will have treated this budget if we were in power today.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks so kindly, sir. That's how we go. My name is Julius. Jerry Chokon is here tomorrow. Congratulations to all those graduating from AMEU. We will be there, we will be there to grace the occasion as an alumnus of the institution.